You're very welcome along to the Matchbook Football Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Hussey, and I'm joined, as always, this season by Mark O'Hare. And welcoming back to the team after a week hiatus is Adrian Clarke. Adrian, I refuse to give you an Arsenal question. You're going to save that for your best bet at the end, but it's been going okay for the Gunners.
Going very well, yeah. I mean, yeah, look, you just got to look at the lack of shots that opponents are having on the Arsenal goal. It's remarkable, really. Yeah, look, it couldn't be going any better. Obviously, it was a perfect weekend with City and Liverpool floundering on match week 9. So, look, yeah, Arsenal in a great position. But I'll tell you what, you won't catch many Gooners taking things for granted at the moment because been here before, haven't we? And you don't win anything in October.
Absolutely. And listen, I've bumped into a few Liverpool fans over the last couple of seasons requesting that we stop talking about Arsenal as much as we do. So I am conscious of that listener or viewer watching or listening now. But insights.matchbook.com, if you want a full recap of all the guys' picks, they are available from Wednesday on Matchbook Insight. If you take 2 seconds, hit that like button. We see a lot of people watching on the live stream, see a lot of you guys watching back as well. It does make a difference to the channel and point you in the direction of our offer, the most generous new customer offer we currently have on Matchbook. If you haven't got a Matchbook account and you want to get the benefits of the betting exchange, but also the bet builder options the guys will cover as well, hit the bonus code POD50. That's POD50 when signing up. You get £50 worth in free bets when you bet £50. Full T's and C's available on insights.matchbook.com. We'll start with Manchester City versus Bournemouth, lads. It is in the 4:30 slot. And Mark, we'll start with you. I thought City were slowly building ahead of steam, getting wins. And yes, there was an over-reliance on Erling Haaland, but they were getting it done. Bit of a shock with the Villa, not just results, but they probably deserved it over the 90 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? They were nullified by Aston Villa. And I guess Haaland had that one opportunity, failed to score for just the second time for Man City this season. Interestingly, now the 2 times he has blanked, both of those games have ended in Man City defeats. Man City have failed to score in both losses against Spurs and Aston Villa, which does beg the question, stop Haaland, do you stop Man City? And but he is absolutely ridiculous, 11 Premier League goals already. But outside of him, the next top goal scorer for Man City in the Premier League this season is Burnley centre-back Maxime Nestev, who got those 2 own goals at the Etihad earlier this season. So no other Man City player has scored more than once in the league this season. And there has to be more, a better contribution from the rest of the City squad. We know they're talented. We know they're capable. That said, they have mostly been trending pretty well. I've got them second on expected points this season. They have won the XG battle in 8 of their 9 Premier League games. They've created the most big chances and have allowed the 3rd fewest. So bar the Spurs match where they were pretty well marshalled, they've largely been relatively comfortable and professional in winning 4 on the spin lately. In the Premier League, it's 16 wins in 23 since the start of last season, averaging 2.2 points per game at home, scoring 2.3 goals per game. They also have an outstanding record against Bournemouth. They did lose away at Bournemouth last season, but I think that's the only defeat or the only blemish in about 18 head-to-heads. They've won 17 of those, and that record goes way back to about 2015. I didn't check further back, to be honest, but that's an outrageously good head-to-head record. But in terms of this match of the weekend, my numbers made City around about the same price as they are, 154 on the Matchbook Exchange, because whilst Bournemouth have been brilliant to follow and quite remarkable in what they're achieving, considering the players sold or even players injured this season, they are running a little bit hot. Last week, a good example of that. Sure, they were much the better team against Forest. Sure, they deserved to win. But you look at the 2 goals, very difficult to replicate those consistently. So they're 9th on expected points and only averaging 1.14 non-penalty expected goals per game. So not exactly shooting the lights out. They've only created 14 big chances as well. So they've been quite reliant on individual moments of brilliance. Obviously last weekend, but Semenyo, Krupi in particular. Regardless, they just have a crazy knack for getting on the score sheet away from home. They scored in 20 of 23 away league games going back to the start of the last season. The issue is they've kept just 3 clean sheets in that same sample. So 18 of the last 23 away days have seen both teams score. So I'm going to combine that alongside a Man City win here because it does boost the price way beyond a unit more than City just to win on the nose, which I said was 154. Include BTTS, it jumps to 263. I don't think this is going to be an easy game for City whatsoever, despite sort of having those kind of negative slants in Bournemouth. But if you look at the Cherries, they've spent the fewest minutes in losing positions this season across the Premier League, which is, again, quite remarkable. And I just think that has allowed them to play to their strengths a lot more. They scored 5 goals from fast breaks, which kind of buys into that sort of transitional approach from Iraola, especially against opponents who might be chasing a game. The match might be a little bit stretched and they're looking for a goal. Bournemouth can pick them off a little bit better. I suspect they'll get those chances against Man City, who, whilst they're not controlling and dominating possession as they have done in previous years under Guardiola, they're going a bit more direct this year. They will have the dominance in possession here, you assume. So, I still think City are the strongest suit. I think Bournemouth are running a little bit hot, but happy to back Bournemouth to get on the score sheet here, as they have done in 8 of 9 games this season. They've also scored at least twice in 3 or 4 away days. The issue is they've also conceded twice or more in 3 or 4 away days, 4-0-2-3 on their travels. That's goals against. And I think that could prove their undoing at the Etihad. So Haaland will probably score after blanking last week, and I expect City to grab a couple at least. But City to win and BTTS, what was it, 263, which is a really nice increase on City just to win.
Okay, big jump, as Mark alluded to there. Adrian, if you're Iraola and you're Bournemouth, you're second in the lead, you're heading to Etihad, it's a free hit. How do you go about setting up the team? Do you go a bit aggressive? Do you go the other way and go really defensive? How does he go about trying to get a result here? And what bet have you landed on?
Yeah, they don't need to change too much, do they? Because look where they're sat in the league table. I do think I agree with Mark. They've got the tools, haven't they, to hurt City? Definitely on those counters. City will have most of the ball, we know that. But Insemenyo and Krupi and Tavernier and Kluivert and guys like this, they have pace and they have quality on the break. So I think that's how they'll play it. They're very aggressive, aren't they, in the middle third? It's just we'll if City get at their back four, is that going to be a problem? And the stats have been laid out by Mark. I'll just add a couple to it. Because it really hasn't been such an issue at home, but away from home, they have been giving up a lot of good chances. Bournemouth, they have the 3rd highest expected goals against away from home, which is remarkable, really, given that they're second in the division at the moment. So that is a concern. They've also let in 9 goals away from home. Only 3 teams have conceded more: Burnley, Fulham, and Brighton. So not secure, are they, in terms of when they go on the travels? Because they want to be aggressive, they want to sort of be combative. They will sometimes get played through, and that's where they leave themselves a little bit short. And of course, if you leave yourselves a little bit short against a team like Man City with Erling Haaland, then you could be in trouble. I think Bournemouth can be competitive. Absolutely, they can score, they can give City some very nervy moments, but I don't know, given what they've produced this season defensively on the road, I don't know if they're going to be good enough to withstand Manchester City, who really, a lot of their injured guys are coming back now. They're in much sort of better shape. They've got more competition for places. He can freshen things up from the bench as well, Pep Guardiola. So I think, and look at their home record, it's pretty good. I mean, they dispatched Burnley in style, Man United as well. Comfy win at home to Everton. Good record against the Cherries, as Mark said. I'm going to go with City. I'm going to copy Mark there, and rather than go with both teams to score, although I think that's a great shout. If you want an alternative, you could pair it with over 2.5 goals. That way, you don't need Bournemouth to score. You get in any number of score lines as long as there are at least 3 goals. 3 of Bournemouth's last 4 matches have gone over 2.5. And I just think Haaland against Senesi and is it Mihailovic, the youngster, they've got a young right back as well, Jimenez. Truefair likes to get forward, he's a good player, but I don't know how strong that back four will be against an attack as potent as City. So yeah, City and over 2.5 for me, 2.05.
Okay, that's your option if you want the safe one. We're going to have this as our money back treble. Mark, we want to add the under 5.5 cards. This is Anthony Taylor once again.
Yes, we did under 5.5 cards last week. He gave 4 in the match between Manchester United and Brighton. Brighton matches do tend to produce cards, so that wasn't a huge surprise that he reached the tally of 4, even though there probably could have been more that day. Bournemouth can be quite feisty, but yeah, if you look at under 5.5 cards, it's now got a 90% hit rate in anti-Taylor league matches going back to the start of last season. This season, he's averaging 275 cards. 5 of 8 of his games have gone under 3.5. If you look at the two teams, 2 of their combined matches, just 2 of them have featured 6 cards or more. And Taylor has covered these teams already this season. He gave 3 on the opening day when Liverpool beat Bournemouth, and then he gave 0, of course, in the Manchester derby. So under 5.5 should be relatively safe, and it gives the price a nice boost as well.
Okay, that's 3.5. City to win, both teams to score in under 5.5 cards. That's your money back special. We see a lot of people backing that every week. It's a £10 money back as a free bet. If it loses, just put those selections into the matchbook bet builder. And if it loses, get your money back as a free bet on Monday morning. Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. Adrian, I'm going to start with you on this one. With Manchester United, a little tweak to Amarin's back 5 where he's gone for the right-footed left back has suddenly seemed to galvanise. Is that too simplistic to say? Is there other factors in United's pick-up form in the last 2 games?
Yeah, well, look, I was away, wasn't I? So I didn't see the full 90 of their last couple of games, unfortunately, just the highlights. But yeah, look, they're heading in the right direction. It may be that's how I wouldn't really understand why that would make such a big difference if I'm perfectly honest. But yeah, well, obviously Cunha is sort of off the mark now. He's in good form. Seshko is settled, isn't he? He's started to make things happen. Burmo has been probably their best attacker, hasn't he, this season? He's breathed new life into their attack. So yeah, they're going okay, aren't they? They really are. It's getting there, and that was a brilliant result at Anfield, wasn't it? And then of course against Brighton. I mean, I did watch the Brighton game actually, and I thought that they were second best really until they scored, and it was quite a fortuitous opener if I remember rightly, with the deflected goal. And then once they got their noses in front, they started to play. But until that point, which had been over half an hour, I think Brighton had scored them at times. So I think there's a lot of work still to do for Amarim. Rode their luck a little bit against Liverpool as well, didn't they? So yeah, I'm not totally on board, I have to say, just yet, even though that Man United fans have a right to feel better about themselves. This is a really interesting game, isn't it? Really interesting, because Sean Dyche is in now at Nottingham Forest. I think he'll be a bit more like a Nuno Forest under his charge. And I just think in this game, surely Sean Dyche makes this a grind. Surely he's not going to open up here. He's going to make it a bitty, fragmented match. He's not going to want that much of the ball. He's going to drill his team to within an inch of their lives. And they're going to go pretty direct, aren't they? I mean, the stats were amazing. I think they really went longer last weekend, didn't they? In the game against Bournemouth, didn't play particularly well, but so many more longer passes and not playing out from the back, for example. It's going to be a different Nottingham Forest. And I don't think this is going to be a fun game, particularly for Manchester United to participate in. So I'm going to go with unders here, because even though it takes the result out, and I'm not, even though I think United probably should win on current form, not completely sold on that at all. I think Forest could get something. I just don't know which way that's going to go. But I do see the pattern of the game being quite ugly, and it being a low-scoring affair. Look, Forest have scored twice since match week 1. I mean, it's Halloween this week, and they've scored twice since early to mid-August. It's nuts. So they need a confidence boost, and it won't be easy to score multiple goals in this game. They're not playing like they're going to score loads of goals, are they, at the moment? Manchester United have been having a lot of goals and lots of shots, but away from home it hasn't been as prolific. They've only got 4 goals in 4 away games, so averaging 1. So it's not exactly cutting loose on the road. The 2 they got at Anfield was their highest of the season so far. So I see this as being quite low scoring, under 2.5 goals. And I saw the price and I thought, ooh, quite like that. 2.2 on unders, which is coming in quite a lot in the Premier League this season compared to to last year and the season before. 5 of the last 9 Forest games have gone under 2.5 goals as well. So yeah, I just think Dyche will make his mark, make an imprint on the game tactically, and it won't be easy for United to break them down. And at the other end, we know that Forest, forward players are not full of confidence at the moment, so it might be tough going for them as well. Although I did like the 11 that Dyche picked. I thought it was a good 11, bit more balance about it. So I think they will pick up under him, even if they got off to that losing start in the Premier League at least. So yeah, under 2.5 goals, 2.2.
2.2, the price there, the underdog in that market. And Mark, you are an Amarin fan, or at least were under his previous regime in Sporting. Adrian makes a good point. Maybe that first half hour, maybe first 10 minutes for me, I thought Brighton were very good, and United then started getting themselves into the game. Where are you with this Amarin thing? Because it's been his best time in his tenure, and a lot of United fans are getting excited. Are they right to be excited?
Yeah, why not? I mean, you're a football fan. You're supposed to be excited by your team, and it's been a long time.
That's probably a no then, is it?
I am an Amarin fan, and there's no doubt they've looked better, or looked in better shape in more recent matches. The win last week, I thought, was arguably more important, more impressive than the one at Anfield, where they did have to ride their luck to get the points. The important aspect of that was you had to go and back it up then, considering how they celebrated that win at Liverpool, as they deserved to do so. But it made the Brighton match even bigger, really. And the fact that he did get the win, it could well be the turning points. They've got no European distractions. Amarin has the time to get his ideas and plans across. His players have the ability to rest and prepare to go again week on week. We've seen now the front three. That was a weakness last season for Manchester United, scoring goals and creating chances. That's now been turning into a positive. Then you've got the likes of Casemiro starting to take control in midfield. That hasn't happened for God knows how long. The goalkeeper making a difference too. So there are positives here. 3 straight league wins for the first time in a single season since February 2024. And that just shows how hard United have had it. So to be consistent in this division, you need to be a pretty decent team, and that United just have not been that for 18 months. But yeah, I am holding fire at the minute. Definitely holding fire on United at 2.15 away from home, even against the team in the bottom 3 right now. That's the kind of price I'm very happy to leave alone. The Liverpool game could have easily ended in defeat. Then the narrative might be completely different. The previous away day was absolutely awful at Brentford. You've also had no shows against Man City and Fulham on the road. Let's not forget Grimsby. That came away from home as well. So the win at Anfield was only their 5th away from home in the Premier League in 23, going back to the start of last season, which is absolutely atrocious. And, I guess you look at Forest, obviously, understandably, everyone is quite down on Nottingham Forest right now. I do think, though, that creates opportunities. And I do think the 186 to be with Forest with a half-goal start here, I am prepared to give them a shot at that line, at that price. The narrative is they're in a relegation dogfight, which of course they are right now, but it's a long old season, so we'll have to wait and see what impact Dyche can have. But only last midweek, they turned in a very positive performance at home, beating Porto in the Europa League at the City Ground, and I was impressed by that display. Yes, both goals came from penalties, but they didn't give Porto a sniff, really. Even in the second half, I think Porto were chasing the game, managed 1 shot on target and an XG from open play of about 0.2 or something ridiculous like that. Douglas Luiz, Elliot Anderson, Morgan Gibbs-White dominated the centre of the pitch against Porto. If they can sort of replicate that effort, those levels, I think they'll present United with a difficult task here. So individually, we know there's heaps of quality in the Forest squad. Now, having had a full week off on the training pitch with Dyche has to help. The Bournemouth game, I think you could look and see they struggled to match the physicality, match the intensity. And that's what's going to happen when you play Thursday, Sunday in Europe. It's a quick turnaround. It's going to be a hindrance to them all season. The goals they conceded, though, were unfortunate. A combined total XG against Bournemouth of the goals of 0.03, obviously one from a corner and one from distance. Yes, they were second best throughout, but it shows that they weren't probably a million miles away. So, yeah, the issue at the minute is scoring goals, as Adrian says. 2 penalties against Porto, 1 league goal and 7. That came from a corner as well, just 0.37 XG generated against Bournemouth, the 11th lowest total by any team in a Premier League game this season. So, but, the positives, they're at home, they're rested, and as I say, they're not lacking in quality. So I expect them to give United a bit of a tough time here. And yeah, just think back to the last game under the previous management at home in the Premier League under Ange. They could easily have been 2 or 3 goals up at half-time against Chelsea, but for some poor finishing. So you look at Man United, they're allowing 25 big chances in 9 league games, which is the 5th worst figure so far this season. 1.55 non-penalty expected goals per game, which is the 4th worst return. They've only kept 1 clean sheet this season. So that's not the kind of figures I want to be having on my side if backing a team at 2.15 away from home. So yeah, I'll back Forest to avoid defeat. So Forest plus half a goal at 186.
Okay, that's on the Asian handicap line. Both the lads thinking it'll be a tense game there between Nottingham Forest and Manchester United. We'll move on to Spurs versus Chelsea. Adrian, we'll start with you. I mean, Spurs, the big difference this season has been the away performances versus the home performances. Anything in that, and how do we try and price that in before having a bet here today?
Yeah, struggled a bit, haven't they, in front of their own supporters. That said, the Villa defeat, two good goals, weren't they? I mean, the Rodgers goal was terrific, wasn't it? From the edge of the box, and Brendias as well came from outside the danger zone. So they need to start producing better performances at home. There's no doubt about that. But look where they are in the league. They're gathering plenty of points. Tottenham Hotspur, and I do think they're a lot better without the ball under Thomas Frank. I really like the midfield. I didn't like their central midfield last year, but there's a nice little partnership building, isn't there, with Bentancur and Palhinha. You've got Papsar there that might come in for this game if he's a little bit more reticent to sort of go for it with a more attack-minded number 10. They've coped well without Christian Romero in recent games. Danso's come in and looked pretty decent. Spence and Porro have locked down those fullback positions. So yeah, look, they're not easy to break down at all, are they? Good set piece side. Obviously, that's a hot topic at the moment. 2 good set piece teams actually here, but ranked 2nd and 3rd behind Arsenal, Spurs, and Chelsea are in terms of goals from set pieces. Spurs are significantly better at defending them than Chelsea, though. And I do think that Chelsea have a bit of a fragility there with Achimpong and Chalobah. I mean, tossing could come in, of course. But they've conceded twice from long throws, losing the first ball at a near post, flicked on, and they've conceded. I think Spurs will cause them problems whether Danso plays or not. He's got a long throw. Bergvall as well can really launch it into the danger zone. So they might play a big part in the game. From Spurs as well, like you've got some forwards, obviously still no Solanke, but the rest of the guys are kind of there now, aren't they? Colin Moani, Richarlison, Tell, Brennan Johnson got a game last time. So there's a little bit of competition starting to occur, and that should have a positive effect on the performances, I would have thought. Now, Tottenham-Chelsea, I'm very reticent to get behind Spurs here because they've got an absolutely stinking record against Chelsea, haven't they? It is absolutely awful. Chelsea have won 5 of their 6 Premier League matches at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, obviously relatively new ground. But, going back over a period of time, Spurs very, very rarely beat Chelsea. But I do think this is a good time to play them. Shorn of a lot of defenders at the moment. None of their strikers are in form, are they? Joao Pedro's off it a little bit. I know Liam Delap might come back this weekend, but surely he won't start. Got loads of good wingers, we know that, but which ones are going to start? And actually, Spurs are quite strong in those wide areas, aren't they, with Porro and Spence? So yeah, I am leaning towards Spurs here. I've got to say, I don't think Chelsea are playing particularly well. They're conceding too many good chances, and they just look a little bit fragile to me. So it really caught my eye that I could get Tottenham on the draw no bet, obviously plus 0.0 at 2.02 at home. They're 3rd in the division, conceding very few goals. I do like that. I think that Spurs have absolutely got a chance of winning. And look, if they draw, then we get our money back. That's how I'm looking at it. Even though their home record is pretty dismal this season, Spurs. I feel like they're coming in. I feel like they're in slightly better form than Chelsea, and for that reason, I'm going to side with them.
Okay, that's on the Asian handicap market 0.0. Mark, you're in broad agreement with that selection?
Yeah, kinda. I really didn't enjoy trying to find a way into this match. As Adrian says, traditionally you just back Chelsea to beat Spurs, right? That's just what happens, regardless of what form these two teams are in. Chelsea have just always beat Spurs. I think they've won 13 of the last 17 head-to-heads, home or away. I just don't feel completely comfortable backing Chelsea right now. I'm actually a little bit uncomfortable and untrustworthy of both of these two teams right now. But at the lines and prices, yeah, I favour Spurs more than Chelsea, and I guess that's what it comes down to. But on Chelsea, 8 points dropped now from winning positions this season. I think you can pin a lot of the blame on Maresca for a fair few of those poor results they've had, whether it be team selection, substitutions, tactical approach, all of which have been questionable at Brentford versus Man United, against Brighton, Forest before he corrected at half-time, and against Sunderland last week, where he took off his most mobile centre-half, Josh Ajapong, and his only centre-forward, Mark Guéhi, but also sort of withdrew Pedro Neto, João Pedro, probably his two best attacking players this season, for Andre Santos and Tyreek George. And unsurprisingly, things kind of tail off. So yeah, they've now failed to win 5 of their 9 league matches this season, and their record at top half teams under Maresca is really quite poor, actually, just 2 wins overall. But then I look at Spurs, and I won't hark on about the same sort of stuff as I do every week about their actual data, because we know from open play it's been pretty poor. But they are overperforming in both boxes. They're scoring at an unsustainable rate and conceding almost half a goal less than expected per game. So understandably, with Thomas Frank in charge, they are, proficient from set pieces. They have improved immeasurably in terms of what their shape has been out of possession. But I have been quite unconvinced, home and away. The home matches in particular could and should have lost both away Champions League games quite heavily against both Bodo and Monaco, moderate opposition. Last week at Everton, it wasn't a 3-0 game. Vicario had to make 2 brilliant saves when the game was in the balance. And against Leeds away previously, they were second best. Yet this sort of focus on maintaining shape in possession and maximising set pieces is just working. I don't know how, but only Arsenal have won more games than Spurs. No team has scored more goals than Spurs. That's despite only Villa, Sunderland, West Ham and Burnley having fewer shots. Only Arsenal have conceded fewer goals. I just find it all quite confusing, to be honest, because I watch them and don't get massively impressed by what I see. But yeah, I guess this is the one game this weekend in the Premier League where I really don't know what will happen. Nothing would really surprise me here. So I'm just going to be led by the underlying metrics of my own model, which suggests that Spurs are a slice of value here. I've got them around 2.5 with Chelsea 2.95. So a reasonable difference there between where I am at and where the market is based on this season's performances, because I've got these two in 11th and 12th on expected points after 9 match days. But yeah, I guess something Spurs-based makes much more appeal at those lines and prices where they are underdogs at the minute, which I probably don't agree with, regardless of the data. So just to kind of cover my backs, I'll back Spurs double chance and under 4.5 goals. You've got the 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, plus 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 2-1, and 3-1. So loads of correct scores on side at just shy of 1.8. Just one combined game between these two teams this season have featured 5 goals or more. 14 of the 18 they've played in the Premier League have gone under 3.5 goals, let alone 4.5. So yeah, kind of by default backing Spurs to avoid defeat in a low-scoring game.
Okay, similar bets, but not maybe the most confident from the two lads there. And Liverpool versus Villa is Saturday 8 p.m. Mark, hope it's a little bit more substance here with your selection. But like Liverpool, I mean, if a mid-table team or a smaller club were in this sort of run of form, we'd be talking about it. It's the fact it's Liverpool, last year's champions. I mean, what's going on?
Good question. Some of it is hard to explain or kind of look at. Obviously, you've had the tragedy in the summer, which could easily be affecting the club on an individual as well as a collective scale. We've had a lot of transition with new signings trying to bed in, a shift in sort of style formation as well. They've had it tougher recently too. I mean, obviously the results have been appalling recently, but 5 of the last 6 games have been away from home. So if you're a player, chuck in an international break, you've had trips to Germany and Turkey, plus 3 away days in London. And I do think the travel and scheduling hasn't been helpful for Liverpool. But regardless, the general performance levels have been way below expectations, much more so in defence rather than attack. I think going forward, whilst they're probably not scoring as much as they probably deserve to have, they are doing mostly the right things in forward areas. Got them third for non-penalty expected goals and big chances in the Premier League this season. They're only underperforming their conversion rate slightly. So whilst you can look at Salah and Wirtz and Isak and say they're either bang out of form or just haven't yet settled into the system, Liverpool largely are creating and converting at an acceptable rate. The United game obviously flies against that theory, but defence has been their downfall. Since the start of May, no team in the Premier League has conceded 2 goals or more often than Liverpool, which is quite remarkable, really. And I think it's quite clear and obvious where those issues are arising from. Just opposition teams are playing direct, being physical and just imposing themselves from set pieces and open play, which is kind of characteristics that Liverpool don't necessarily have in their team right now. I think it's been well sort of publicised that Liverpool's opponents are playing more long passes than any other team so far this season, and by quite a long way too. And I think the idea being that Liverpool aren't set defensively when they lose possession, so hit them hard and fast and they're going to be in trouble. So they've also had a real horrible habit recently of conceding early. So in their 5 defeats across their last 6 games, they've been behind before the 17th minute in each of those defeats, often conceding to the sort of first or second shot from their opposition. So if you keep falling behind to the first chance you concede, then the type of game plan you want to impose just goes out of the window almost straight away. But it's 9 games now without a clean sheet. And I think Villa will relish playing the underdog role here, being direct, being physical and offering a set-piece threat, because they're the qualities they showed against Man City last weekend and deservedly won that match. So probably their best performance of the season so far. I thought Onana was superb, his intensity, putting out fires, doing the dirty work, but also keeping the ball really well and looking for long balls to spread the play. But then right through the spine, Martinez, Konza, Kamara, McGinn, Rodgers, Watkins, they all stepped up and put a real shift in, delivered on the game plan. I was quite impressed because so far this season, they've not been really that impressive, to be fair, Aston Villa. But I think they've often been frustrated against sort of middling, lower level teams when sort of trying to pick a low block, but that won't be the case here against Liverpool. They'll get transitional opportunities, and it's just whether they can make those chances pay, as they're not offering a huge amount up front themselves. I've got them actually 18th on expected points. Only West Ham and Burnley are below them in that metric, and they're the only sides who have generated a lower XG output so far when you exclude penalties. So the positive to that stat is Liverpool have already allowed 28 big chances in the Premier League, which is the joint most alongside West Ham, so 3.11 per game. So this isn't a happy hunting ground for Villa, but I would back them to get on the score sheet here. 12 of Liverpool's 14 opponents this season have scored against them, but Villa do tend to come unstuck away at top teams. One at Spurs, all right, but as Adrian mentioned, 2 goals from outside the box. But last season at top 7 finishes, 0 wins, 1 draw, 5 defeats, and they conceded 2 goals or more in each of those. So I've kind of surprised myself here, actually, because I thought Liverpool don't appeal to me at 164. I definitely did look at Villa with a +1 start, but the 3.05 really jumped out to me on Liverpool to win and both teams to score, because it's quite a leap from that 164 to 3.05. It's already won 6 times this season in 13 League and Cup games for Liverpool, including 4 of 6 at Anfield. I expect Villa to score here. I think both teams to score is an obvious runner, but that leap for Liverpool to win, is too big to ignore, really. So 3.05 Liverpool to win and both teams to score.
Okay, Adrian, and you're the same selection. I'm guessing that big leap from 164 to 305 is too big a jump for you.
I couldn't turn it down. As soon as I saw it, I was like, bang. I hadn't even done any research. Just looked at the odds. I was like, well, I like that.
Wow.
Because it doesn't look right. This is Liverpool at Anfield. And look, let's be honest, they've won 5 games at home in all competitions this season, and 4 of those 5 have seen both teams score. So it was only that late Szoboszlai goal against Arsenal was the only clean sheet win that they've had. So, they've got their form at home has been all right, and it's just been a while since they've not a while since they played there. They obviously got beat by Manchester United, but they're very strong at home. We know that. And Aston Villa, as brilliant as they were against City and as smart as Unai Emery is, they have a rotten record against Liverpool. Emery often overthinks it and doesn't seem to come up with the right answers against Liverpool as well. So, yeah, I'm with Mark for all of the reasons that he's outlined. I think Villa are punching a little bit above what they're, where they should be. I know 4 straight wins. It's, the feel-good factors there, and they are getting better and better. There's no doubt about that. There's more of a balance to the team at the moment than there was earlier on in the campaign. A bit more width and whatnot, and they're very solid down the spine of the pitch. But the XG is rotten, isn't it? They've got the second lowest XG, including penalties. I know Mark gave you numbers taking penalties away. That's really bad for a team of Villa's quality. They're not creating that many chances. For me, that this run that they've been on has been kind of reliant on moments of individual quality. I talked about it with Rodgers and Buendia at Spurs. Obviously, against City, it was that cash goal from outside the box. They're not carving out that many clear-cut opportunities. I don't think, as bad as Liverpool have been, I'm not sure they'll get that many in this game. I just see it as this four straight defeats for Liverpool. They have to turn it around. I just don't see a scenario where they go 5 defeats on the spin. I just can't fathom that happening. I know that they're going to have to play significantly better. Van Dijk's got to be better. Kanate, the fullbacks, they've got to deal with those long balls miles better than they have, because Villa will pump some over the top for Watkins. There's no doubt about that. And they've got good, big players that can hurt them from set pieces. So they've got to be careful. But I just think that surely Liverpool will knuckle down here, bite down on their gum shield and produce something better to get their season off and running. So, I'm going to go with that. Obviously, current form would indicate that Villa have got a sensational chance of winning here. But I just think at that price, 3.05 for Liverpool to win at Anfield, which they usually do. They always score. We know that. And both teams to score, which feels, likely given Liverpool's form. 3.05 just really leaps off the page as something you can't ignore.
Okay, we'll lock that in. The Anfield factor going to be big for Liverpool, according to Mark and Adrian. That's Liverpool to win and both teams to score 3.05. Inside StockMatchable.com if you want a recap of all the bets we're covering. Mark, any other bets section here? We're going to start with QPR. You rarely put them in selections here, so I guess you're expecting goals against an Ipswich team who started the season as favourites for the Championship. Hasn't quite clicked yet for Kieran McKenna's side.
No, every time I think they are starting to find their range, they put in a shocker of a performance. But still expecting a decent game at Loftus Road. QPR have recovered from a dreadful start with Julian Stefan. He'll be pretty pleased with the response from the 7-1 thrashing against Coventry. I think supporters all believe a top half finish is now something we should be aspiring to rather than a relegation battle, and possibly more considering the strength of the squad and now players have returned from injury. So since that defeat at Coventry, it's 5 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats. Defensively, we've looked much more organised. Whilst in attack, players who've signed for the club, Richard Kone in particular, Romain Barrel, have given us a different edge, a bit more pace and physicality, and are making a big difference as well. As I say, more players are coming back from injury. Ilias Chair back off the bench last weekend. So, I'm relatively positive about QPR right now. So I would back this team to score against most teams in the division. They did blank at Derby last week in what was probably our worst performance of the season, actually, even taking out the Coventry match. But I think there are reasons for that. We played Wednesday to Saturday, away turnaround at Swansea and Derby. So 2 long journeys and just got out-muscled, out-manoeuvred and didn't get into the game at all. That can happen, I think, in the Championship from time to time. I would expect changes on Saturday. I would expect a more improved performance, and I do believe we can score against an Ipswich team who've kept just 2 clean sheets since relegation, conceded in all 4 away games, would have been 5 from 5 had the abandoned Blackburn game played out that final 10 minutes. But nobody can really match Ipswich's firepower in forward areas in this division individually, but also collectively right now. They're averaging almost 17 shots per game, 3.18 big chances per game. They've only failed to score twice themselves. The individuals they have at their disposal are quite frightening for second-tier level. So they haven't often put it all together, but they are a side that should be full of goals. I think they are trending in the right direction slowly. Expecting goals in this game. 3 of their 4 away. I've seen both sides score. 3 of QPR's 5 at home have also seen both sides score. 6 of Ipswich's last 8 have gone over 2.5 goals. And I think if you expect both sides to contribute, which I do here, then overs has to be a look at 190. There's been an average of 5 big chances in Ipswich games, 4.08 in QPR matches. So hopefully we'll get the goals that the data suggests we will get. So yeah, expecting entertainment.
Okay, and the same bet for Scottish Premiership, we obviously saw Celtic firing, or Brendan Rodgers resigning. Martin O'Neill's going to take over. They host Falkirk on Wednesday night, just before we're recording. But Falkirk themselves host Kilmarnock this weekend, and you like the goals angle here.
Yeah, you're right. We're speaking on Wednesday. Falkirk could go away to Celtic on Wednesday. Kilmarnock host Aberdeen before Falkirk and Kilmarnock go head-to-head in Falkirk on Saturday. And yeah, over 2.5 goals here at 1.8 stands out. Quick turnaround for these two teams, but it's still expecting an enjoyable match. Falkirk have been really good value since promotion, settling in quite nicely to the Scottish Premiership. They've scored in 8 of 9 games since promotion, just the 1 clean sheet during that sample. 7 of 9 have seen both sides score. 7 of 9 have seen over 2.5 goals. Their games are averaging 3 goals per game. At home, we've had 4 over 2.5 and both teams to score winners from 5 this season. The game they failed to score in was away at Hearts, who obviously are running away with the league right now. And the clean sheet came against Aberdeen, who started the season atrociously. So now they host Kilmarnock, who just don't travel well, away from Rugby Park, where the plastic pitch is an advantage. Their away record since the start of last season, 4 wins, 5 draws, 14 defeats, conceding in 21 of 23, 14 of which went over 2.5. So that's a 61% hit rate. And Killie have scored in 15 of those matches themselves. This term, they've scored in 7 of 9. They've scored twice or more in 3 or 4 away days, but they've also conceded twice or more in 3 or 4 away days and conceded twice or more in 6 of 9 overall, with the same hit rate for overs. So, yeah, I think we've got 2 teams here who can't really be trusted defensively. Both will look to score and attack and see this as a winnable game. So I think 1.8 on over 2.5 goals is very reasonable. So I'll get involved there.
Falkirk versus Kilmarnock, over 2.5 goals, 1.8. Adrian, 2 selections in this section from the Championship. So Norwich versus Hull City kicks us off.
Yeah, look, 2 teams that don't defend well at all. It's a huge game for Liam Manning, the Norwich manager. He's under big pressure. They're in the bottom 3. He didn't expect that. Norwich fans didn't expect it. They've lost every home game so far, which is a bit disastrous, isn't it? If you're a new gaffer there. The new recruits have just not delivered. Hull are a funny team. Like, they're flying actually quite high. They're scoring goals, but they let in plenty as well. So yeah, it could be quite an interesting game. I don't know which way it's going to go, so I'm going to sit on the fence and just call both teams to score an under 4.5. That's a 2.05 shot, which I think, given the numbers that I'm about to read out, feels like a decent price. That Norwich have conceded in 11 of 12 games. 1 clean sheet just doesn't really happen for them. Both teams to score has landed in 8 of the Canaries' 12 games as well. They almost always score. They've got 9. Scored in 9, but very rarely do games get out of hand when Norwich are involved. 11 of 12 have gone under 4.5 so far this season. So from their end, you think, okay, both teams have gone under 4.5, feels good, feels likely. And then you couple it with Hull, and it's a similar story, really. 75% of their matches end with both teams scoring, including in 7 of their last 8 matches, by the way. So, they've consistently been letting in goals, but they almost always score, Hull, under their new manager. Just 2 clean sheets so far this season. Scored in 10 of their 12 games. Like, the list goes on, really. So I feel that this is going to be a high pressure game, but I don't think Liam Manning can sit on it and play cautiously. I think he's got to go out and try and win it, which might leave the door open for Hull to score. But I wouldn't expect things to get crazy. So yeah, both teams score under 4.5, 2.05.
Okay, that's Norwich versus Hull City, and Stoke versus Bristol City. This is 5th hosting 4th.
Good game, yeah. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a great game, but yeah, these are 2 of the sort of surprise packages really this season. 2 good managers. Mark Robbins, obviously we know about his reputation, but Gerhard Struber, who eyebrows were raised when they brought him in. I wasn't convinced either, but he's doing really well at Bristol City. They're they're proving quite an adaptable side. He is by nature an attacking coach. He wants to press. He wants to get in the face of opponents. It's all about high energy, high octane stuff. But on occasion, like they did against Birmingham last time out, they can sit in and just accept it and say, come and break us down. So, yeah, I've been really impressed with both these teams. More so with Bristol City, I have to say. Stoke aren't in great form. They've only won 3 of their last 9 matches, so a little bit short on confidence. They've only scored 5 goals in those last 9 games as well, Stoke City. So even though they're still in that playoff picture, it's not really clicking for them up front. The forwards have sort of dried up a little bit. Yeah, I'm looking to sort of split my stake here, if that's all right, Daniel. I like unders at 1.75. So I'll put half my stake on that and then half on Bristol City double chance and under 3.5, just for a little bit of added security. That's an even money shot. Bristol double chance and under 3.5 goals. Bristol City are unbeaten away from home. They've kept three clean sheets on their travels already this season as well. And they've only let in 2 overall since the start of this season away from Ashton Gate. So they are a tough nut to crack. And I've just explained to you that Stoke aren't scoring goals. They've dried up big time. In fact, the last time Bristol City conceded away from home was the 22nd of August. So this isn't going to be an easy game for Stoke by any stretch of the imagination. The under 2.5 shout, 9 straight matches now involving Mark Robins Stoke City have all gone under 2.5 goals. So the old Potters fans haven't been treated to that much entertainment in recent weeks. He's not even a defensive coach, Robins, but it's just not really clicking for them in the forward areas. So yeah, under 2.5, 1.75. Bristol City double chance and under 3.5, 2.0. There are scenarios, of course, where both those land nicely.
Okay, that's Stoke City versus Bristol City. Long shot time. And Mark, we will go back to you, and it's League On, and that's going to be for your best bet as well. But kick us off with your long shot.
Yeah, there's a midweek card in Liga on Wednesday night. Strasbourg should have a relatively straightforward home game against Auxerre before they travel to Rennes on Sunday. Rennes have a much trickier midweek match against Toulouse before this game against Strasbourg on Sunday. And I'm not sure they deserve to be favourites this weekend. They've won just twice this season against Marseille when they allowed 24 shots at home, were down to 10 men and just nicked it in stoppage time. And then against Lyon, who had a red card of their own, yet spurned 4 big chances in that game and had an XG tally of 171. I watched Rennes last weekend lose at home to Nice. Didn't deserve to lose, but the performances they've been putting in this season have been very inconsistent. They don't often convince, and their head coach, Habib Bey, is coming under increasing pressure. They've invested a lot in French terms, yet it's 2 wins this season from 9, just the 2 defeats, but they have conceded 2 goals or more in 4 of their last 5 games against some bang average opposition, Nice, Le Havre, Nantes, Auxerre. So if they can score multiple goals against this team, you can be sure Strasbourg can. Strasbourg are 5-1-3 before midweek in terms of win, draws, losses. Could and should have been much more, though, especially away, because they conceded in stoppage time to draw 3-3 at PSG, having led 3-1. They lost at Monaco in stoppage time, lost against Lyon in stoppage time too. Marseille also beat them in stoppage time this season. So that's at least 5 points dropped in stoppage time. Add those 5 points to their tally, they'd be top of the table. But ultimately, matches take longer than 90 minutes. And but yeah, they're no easy meat. They're very capable. They've scored in every game. They average 2 goals per game. They are 5 from 5 against bottom half opposition so far this season. I expect them to be the stronger of the 2 teams across the season and this weekend. So I'll back them to win and both teams to score, because Rennes don't often blank at home. They've scored in 18 of 22 home league games since the start of last season, and both teams to score has been the right bet in 4 or 5 Strasbourg away days this season. So the combination pays an attractive 5.5.
Okay, let's lock that in. Strasbourg and both teams to score 5.5. And Adrian, for you, a fun one here. It's from the FA Cup. So the FA Cup is this Saturday. That's why League One and League Two sides aren't in action. Yeah,
it's FA Cup first round. Yeah, most years on this pod, I try and pick out selection from some of these FA Cup games. You get the odd upset, don't you? And I sort of looked through the card, and there was just one game there that I've picked out that I kind of fancied an upset in for a few reasons, and that's York to win at Barnsley. They're only 3-1 to win, so it wouldn't be the biggest giant killing in the world. And the reason they're only at 3-1 to win the game is that Barnsley are not in good form. 5 without a win in League One. They even lost to Rotherham, and they never lose to Rotherham. I think it was a run that had lasted over 50 years. They got beat 1-0 at home last time out by them. They also got beat at home by Port Vale recently. So at home, they're under a bit of pressure. The native aren't particularly happy. I saw the manager, Conor Hourihane, was sort of bemoaning the flat atmosphere. And of course, there'll be a smallish crowd here, I would imagine, being an FA Cup game. So it's a big stadium. Oakwell could be a bit dead in there, and York, I believe, are taking between 2,000 and 3,000 fans into that away end. And you know what it's like. We've seen it 100 times where these underdogs bring a big away following, and they make a real game of it. And York are definitely one of the best teams in the National League. They're 7th at the moment. They've got a really good manager in Stuart Maynard, who was at Notts County, maybe a little bit harshly dismissed. They do have a rotten record. I should put an asterisk by this. They haven't beaten Barnsley since 1967, which is a run of 15 games. But all records end at some point. I just feel it's a good time to catch Barnsley. They're in a bit of a poor state of affairs. No doubt they'll rotate a few as well. Not least the striker David McGoldrick, who's close to 40 years of age. So yeah, he'll probably be given a day off. So obviously 3-1 isn't a long shot. So I'm going to pair York City to win with Ollie Pearce to score any time. That takes the price to 6.5, which I think is really, really nice. He's a proper goal scorer. He's not a kid. He's 30 years of age, but he's got 10 goals already this season. He's got 7 in his last 7 as well, and he's a penalty taker for York City, which always appeals to me when you're looking to back a scorer anytime. So yeah, I think there's a real good opportunity here for York City to upset Barnsley, and at a price of 6.5 with Pearce getting on the score sheet. Let's have a little dabble.
Yeah, I think he's one player of the year their last couple of seasons in the National League. They're very unlucky not to get promoted last year as well, York City. So maybe Adrian has found the upset for the first round of the FA Cup. And Mark, have you found the Liga double for us and best bets for this weekend?
Hope so. Yeah, as I say, Wednesday night football in France, but taking 2 strong favourites on Sunday, Lens and Lille, both to win. 186 is the double. Lens are second before the midweek round of action, 6 wins in 9, 4 wins from 5 at home. Their only home defeat came on match day 1 against Lyon, who are going great guns themselves. Lens are away to Metz on Wednesday, arguably the worst team in the division, so that could have been tougher. And this weekend they face a Lorient side who are really starting to struggle with the step up in pace after being promoted. 21 goals conceded in 9 games, 1 away goal scored, 4 defeats in 5 on their travels as well. Marseille, Lille and Paris have all made mincemeat of them. So expecting Lens should be well capable of winning that fixture. They are wonderfully set up, brilliantly organised and very comfortable in their 3-4-3 system. And at home, they always get a good atmosphere. So happy to back Lens to win that game. And then we'll look at Lille, who head to Nice before, more importantly, hosting Angers on Sunday. Lille have a 64% win rate at home since the start of last season. That includes the 6-1 thrashing of Metz here last time out. They are 5 wins from 6 unbeaten games this season against teams below them in the table. They've already scored 22 goals in 9 outings. They are free scoring. Angers definitely are not. They sold their best and their only striker in the window. And unsurprisingly, they are struggling in the final third, just 6 goals in 9 matches. Their only away goal came at Metz in a 1-1 draw. They've lost their other 3 away days, including a 5-0 stuffing at Strasbourg. They are also away to Marseille on Wednesday, which is a really tough road trip anyhow, before another away day on Sunday. So they're one of the few unlucky teams who have to go away in the double match week. So last season they lost 8 of 12 trips to teams in the top 12 of Liga. They're a weaker team than last season as well. So happy to oppose them at Lille. So Lens and Lille both to win comes in at 186.
Okay, one of the only exchanges where you can do multiples. Check out our multiples product. We do tweet our best price multiple of the day as well on social. Final word to you, Adrian. Burnley versus Arsenal. How do we make Arsenal's newish approach in terms of being rock solid at the back, but being better than most teams they play, so they're going to win the game. How do we make it pay in a best bet away to Burnley?
Yeah, hopefully I found a way in that's quite appealing to those that want to get Arsenal on side, because they're 1.31 on the nose, so I don't think I'll be getting involved in that. I certainly couldn't be putting that up as your best bet, but I've gone to the bet builder and I've looked at it and found a price that does appeal, and that's 2.5. So it's a heck of a jump. So basically, it's Arsenal to win with a clean sheet. So Arsenal, both teams to score no, and over 1.5 goals in the game. So really, it's the one. If Arsenal do win to 0, it's the 1-0 that kills us, and that's probably why we get the price of 2.5 on it. But it's a risk I'm willing to take, because Arsenal, I think, have been derided too much in terms of their open play football. Of course, it could be better, but I feel that it is clicking slowly but surely. It's just difficult because every team Arsenal are facing at the moment are setting up very, very defensively, and they're finding it hard to break down. So they're winning lots of corners, lots of free kicks, and they're profiting from those instead. So, and as far as I'm aware, goals from free kicks and throws and corners do count the same as from open play. So yeah, I think we all know the pattern of this match, don't we? Burnley are going to be 5-4-1, probably 5-5-0 for a lot of the game. They're going to look to frustrate and then do the odd counter attack, and it's going to be up to Arsenal to break them down. Arsenal have 10 clean sheets, obviously, in 13 matches in all competitions. Most teams they come up against are racking up an XG of under 0.5. It's happened game after game after game. So the XG against in total after 9 games is just 5.28 for Arsenal, easily the best in the division. Burnley's is the worst at 18.56 goals against. They've actually faced the Clarets 32 more shots than the second worst team, which is West Ham, which is a lot of shots. I would expect Arsenal to rack up plenty in this game, and hopefully, from this bet's point of view, score at least twice and maintain that solidity at the back. Burnley have scored 12 goals this season, which is really good, and I give full credit to them for that. But their expected goals is the lowest in the Premier League. It's 6.82. So, this is a team that's outscoring their XG by quite some margin, pretty much double. So you wonder whether that run of goals is going to be sustainable. So, so Arsenal to win 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, whatever, 2.5.
Okay, let's lock that in as best bet. Insights.matchbook.com. Full recap of the guys' picks. We'll be back next week to preview more football action. Enjoy the weekend's football. If you're having a bet on the Matchbook Betting Exchange, please enjoy it. Make sure it enhances that enjoyment of watching the game, but please also do it responsibly. We'll chat to you all next week. Bye-bye.